Fantasy football busts of week 4. First things first, Bengals, enough is enough. What do you want us to do? My calf feels like it got run over by a Zamboni. Joe, stop playing
Jordan
that.
Love is your quarterback. Jordan Love. Jordan Love is a project quarterback, played 2 games his final year in college against top 25 teams, and all he did is throw interceptions. Jordan Love.
Mad Dog, are you buying what Stephen A. is saying?
You're a phony. That is unbelievable. Because Jerry Jones takes it in a helicopter once in a while, all of a sudden you like the Cowboys? You know, they can win.
Did I say I like the Cowboys?
Well, they can get to the Super Bowl, I'm okay with it.
What I said is
come on.
they've suffered enough. They've suffered. The Chicago Bears are trash. Let's just call it what it is. They're not a good organization, okay? You really breaking it down. Look at me when I'm talking.
You haven't seen the Lions. Now you have. And the rest of the NFC has to be a little nervous there. David Montgomery rushed for 121 yards, 3 touchdowns.
The Rush Report.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Rush Report. You might notice there's something a little bit different this week. Nick is live in my living room. That is right, live in my living room.
Something a little different.
Nick decided to go on vacation and decided to visit Maine. So he was only an hour and a half, 2 hours away. So we made it a priority to get together. And what do you know? We have a live recording in person of the Rush Report. So, Nick, how is vacation treating you?
Better than work.
Obviously. And you eked out a big win last week.
Listen, y'all are talking bad about me. Hurt my feelings.
I honestly thought Micah had it in him to win, but apparently he didn't. So we'll see how that goes moving forward. Big move last week that involved me with Devontae Adams. Micah did make a move out of desperation, but he's happy with it. He's happy with George Pickens, and we'll see what happens moving forward.
Yeah, not a wise move on his part.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting the way that he did that. So we are at the halfway point, and I did do power rankings in the Rush Review, and we're gonna go over those a little bit as we at the end of the Rush Report, just to see what people say and what people think.
Whether they agree with us or disagree, we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, the MFL's power rankings almost lined up, but didn't take into a factor a couple things that I saw. So we'll see how it goes. But big week in football this week.
How so?
Because it's week 8. It's a big week. Every week's a big week. We only get 17 of these a year, so
Another bye week, more blunders.
Another bye week, and we are on the downhill slide of the regular season. So if you want to make a move, whether it's in promotion or avoid relegation, now is the time to make that move. Big things are happening.
Now or never.
It is now or never. So do we want to just jump right in to what our matchups are?
Let's see what they got. I don't know what you got on the
All right.
book this week.
This week's first matchup. I always hate doing it with one of us, but I had to. It's my matchup with Dave. There's some big things riding on this matchup. If you think about it, Dave is probably one of the hottest teams behind Nate, and he got cooled off this week or last week, but he's still a dangerous team. He had a big bye week last week with Breece Hall missing the week, and even a guy like Brian Robinson. So
He was out there shopping around, so
yeah, I know Dave has reached out to a couple people for trades. So, but is Tua really the real deal? We talked last week a little bit about how we weren't quite sure what it was going to be.
he's a top 5 player.
He is. But is he really that good?
He's going against the Patriots this week. I mean, they didn't win last week, did they?
The Patriots did win.
Not the Patriots, the Dolphins.
The Dolphins, yeah, they did lose. So
That's still formidable.
It is. So, looking at that though, big matchup for him this week.
That's the Pats.
Yeah. So, as we look at that, I mean, so Trevor Lawrence, I've been on the Trevor Lawrence bandwagon all season. There's no denying that. I know you aren't as big on Trevor Lawrence as I am.
Even against the Steelers, weak defense. No.
Yeah, so looking at that, we have a Tua versus Trevor matchup. Neither of them have favorable matchups if you look at it.
No.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence against the Steelers' defense looks way better. And then you've got Dolphins against the Patriots, but the Dolphins always play the Patriots well in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, you had that one. Who was it? What year was it? Where you had the Hail Mary or Fail Mary?
Yeah. I don't. Was that 2019? It was Gronk's last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, 2018, Ryan Tannehill to Kenyon Drake to, or no, Ryan Tannehill to Devontae Parker to Kenyon Drake.
It was some crazy mixture in Gronk stuff at the end.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see that, but I think Trevor Lawrence does have a little bit more of a favorable matchup. The Patriots looked like they got it together last week.
They look more improved. We'll see if that makes much of a difference. They just signed Bill to a big contract.
They did. So, but running backs. This is an interesting running back matchup. At least I feel like it is. ETN, he's becoming the number one back in fantasy. He might be the new CMC. Look at the touches.
Well,
three straight weeks with at least two touchdowns. So, but Brees Hall has a juicy matchup against the Giants. That concerns me.
Yeah, I mean, Dave easily has the better running back room right now with Pierce. But I mean, the matter if they can keep or just on by last week if they can bring that momentum going from that they've had.
Yeah.
And I don't like Chuba.
He's more played. He's a placeholder right now. He's getting a little bit more work with Miles Sanders being injured, and even when Miles Sanders comes back, Chuba's becoming the number one, which we'll see how that works moving forward.
Surprisingly enough, considering how much they paid for Miles.
Mm-hmm. And then receivers. This is a juicy receiver matchup. A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua against Devontae Adams, Romeo Doubs, and CeeDee Lamb.
Those are good matchups.
I mean, we'll see what quarterback's throwing Devontae Adams the ball Monday night. That's gonna make a difference.
Yeah, especially against the Lions.
And then Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Do both of them break out against the Cowboys this week?
They could both. They're both 10 points, guys. It's a matter of which one hits 15.
I think so. But CeeDee Lamb, bye week last week. Does he have another big week in store for him?
I don't know. He's been really consistent this year, though.
He has. But that offense in the red zone is terrible. Absolutely terrible.
See, he might not be touchdown dependent, but he's going to get all the yards.
Right. And Romeo Doubs. What do we make of Romeo Doubs? He should have had 2 touchdowns on Sunday.
The only wide receiver worth owning right now.
He should have had 2 touchdowns. That second one went right through his hands to Jaden Reed.
Coulda, woulda, coulda.
That touchdown cost me. Just going to say that. Also, the poor decisions I made last week. But tight ends. This is where I feel like I firmly have the advantage over Dave. With Laporta over Trey McBride.
Yeah. Trey McBride is... I still think Ertz is the guy to own in that tight end room. Laporta, 9 points.
Well, Ertz just went on the IR.
I think
so I still like Kyle Pitts more, but hey, I'm not going to tell Dave how to run his team when he's playing me.
Yeah. I mean, Sam Laporta, 9 points is a little off.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
12 to 15.
Yeah. But then defenses. Kansas City against Denver. Denver's offense seemed like it came to life a little bit against Green Bay.
still pretty bad.
It is, but one can hope, right? And I'm rocking Baltimore against Arizona, whether it's Kyler Murray or Josh Dobbs this week. I mean, Kyler Murray was a full participant in practice today, and you've got Josh Dobbs, who's been playing good football.
Mm-hmm. Good, consistent.
The problem is he's been taking too many sacks, which leads to 3rd and long, and in the second half, it just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't thrown too many picks, but those sacks add up after a while. And I think if Kyler Murray's back this week, we are talking a little bit of a different game.
We are. I mean, it'd be a first game of this season. We'll see how much mobility he actually has.
Yeah. So MFL says this is a 9-point spread. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not surprised. I feel like I have a little bit more of wild card guys in Romeo Dobbs and Chuba Hubbard, but I also have some big home run hitters.
You have the bigger home run hitters, but I think Dave has the top bottom minus the tight end.
All right, so what do we got for a pick? I'm not picking against myself.
Oh, I'm picking Dave.
Oh, so after going completely...
Yeah, I know, he hurt me.
After going completely against Dave
2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row, you have, after saying that you were never going to pick Dave again the rest of the season, what can I say?
Thinking Dave.
So, all right, we'll see how that goes. Up next, we've got this easily could have been another one of the big matchups between Daren and Dan. Dan got a big win last week because his opponent misplayed some players. We won't talk about who his opponent was. No, it was me.
Oh, you.
Yeah. Riley Patterson, Jordan Mason, Kadarius Toney. Do I need to say anything else?
No.
Overanalyzed. I pulled a Shayne. I know. I know. But Daren's team. Now, Daren's getting lucky with Kenny Pickett really starting to take off. I dropped Kenny Pickett. I think it's no secret. I like what I'm seeing out of Kenny Pickett. I just don't like the offense. We talk about this every week.
Mm-hmm.
But Brock Purdy is starting to look human again.
He is. But he's still a better option than Daniel Jones.
Well, that's because Daniel Jones has a big red Q next to him.
Even a big Q.
Oh, I mean, the matchup is better for Brock than Daniel Jones. And I think it's good that we're seeing some struggle out of Brock Purdy right now. When you think about how the 49ers are built, they need solid quarterback play, but they need guys, they need to see some hardship. I think when you talk to coaches, you want to see how your guys respond. And Brock has responded well. I don't think he's the issue.
No. Mixed with injury, bad play calls.
Yeah. So you've got that, but then Kenny Pickett against the Jags. Now the Jags defense has been pretty good.
No, they have been. I mean, that's why they're 5-2.
5-2. I mean, they're carrying that team, and Pittsburgh's offense is Pittsburgh's offense.
Your boy, Najee got a touchdown.
He did, and that was good to see. But we'll see if that momentum holds on. I don't know if it will continue, but we'll see if that makes a difference. Now, running back wise, we've got Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, and Raheem Mostert against Jaleel McLaughlin and Joe Mixon. I'm not sure how I feel about Jaleel McLaughlin. Is he the real deal or not?
I don't think it's a matter of whether he's a real deal. That offense still is not very good. I mean, they beat the Packers.
I mean, you could definitely see some life out of Jaleel McLaughlin, though. He's becoming the speed guy.
He's good.
Sean Payton loves to have two solid backs. I mean, for years, think about Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, Reggie Bush and Deuce McAllister. Even before that, he always had one ground and pound guy and one speed guy. And if you think about it, Jaleel McLaughlin and Javonte Williams, they're your thunder and lightning. Javonte Williams is going to be your between the tackles guy, and Jaleel McLaughlin's your speed guy. And I think Sean Payton has his backfield set. But I don't like Jaleel McLaughlin.
No, I don't.
He was a nice little play, but that Chiefs run defense is better with Chris Jones. And so Joe Mixon's matchup too, terrible matchup.
Against the Niners. He has been looking good all season either.
So you've got those two against Jacobs, Kamara, and Mostert. Now, Mostert didn't practice today. There is some confusion about whether or not he'll play. But Daren does have Gus Edwards on his bench. I do like Gus Edwards.
And it's a good play.
So,
I mean, he even has Josh Palmer.
Right. So he has options. And I don't see the options for Dan. David Montgomery most likely will be out. Jeff Wilson, maybe. If Mostert's out, is Jeff Wilson the right play?
He seems to be the right play. I don't think Ahmad is going to be the play.
We'll see. I don't know what to make out of the Dan's running backs concern me a lot. So, but wide receivers, I like Keenan Allen. I like Michael Pittman, but I don't really like Amari Cooper with PJ Walker getting the start.
Yeah, it's a downgrade right there.
So, Elijah Moore's not good either. So you look at that, DJ Moore and Garrett Wilson. DJ Moore looked good with Tyson Bagent.
Even all indications that he's going to play this week.
Yeah, I don't think anybody heard what you said. Your mic didn't pick anything up.
I think basically everything is going to be the same again this week. No Justin Fields.
Yeah. Tyson Bagent gets the start on Sunday night, so the world will get to see the best Division II quarterback from last year against Justin Fields, who probably will have another bad game because of Brandon Staley.
Justin Fields.
I feel like we could totally do a non-rush report on just bad coaching in the NFL.
A lot of bad coaching.
But I digress. But then Gerald Everett against Travis Kelce. Now, the one place that Daren has struggled all year is tight end. He went Greg Dulcich and I can never say his name, from Tennessee. Chris Okonkwo.
Yeah, the rookie there.
And then you've got on the other side Travis Kelce, who can we bet against Travis Kelce right now?
He's low.
It's me. Yeah. I'm not even going to try to go Taylor Swift in the moment, but
all you Swifties out there,
we're going to get copyrighted.
Haven't yet.
But the one thing that Dan does have that I really like is the Jets defense, whether it's Tyrod Taylor or Daniel Jones.
Tyrod Taylor.
He did, but does Tyrod Taylor scare you?
No, he doesn't move the needle.
So I trust that Jets defense. They're not the 85 Bears, but they are a good team.
Yeah. Easily. So looking at this, it's pretty much an all over Daren shot with, even if he has a questionable, not fully healthy Gerald Everett, Daren's pretty much locked in. I mean, he's got options if Mostert doesn't go.
Yeah, so the pick, my pick is Daren. I don't think you can deny the fact that this is Daren's matchup to lose. And this gets Daren back to 4-4 and looking good for the playoffs with a backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how it continues to play out. All right.
Brotherly matchup.
A good brotherly matchup with two teams that are kind of going in opposite directions.
Yeah, Dan, Adam's starting to look like the Bigs bye week.
Yeah. We're at that point, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, he's floundering. I mean, he's rocking Najee Harris. I mean, he had a touchdown last week. Rashid White.
He does have at least Kirk Cousins.
Captain Kirk. Yeah, he doesn't really have a whole lot moving for him.
He doesn't. And that's part of the problem that Adam has. I don't see where the points come from for Adam. Kirk Cousins is a nice play, but it's Kirk Cousins. It's not. We're not talking Lamar Jackson or even Joe Burrow at this point.
Yeah, this is gonna be another. Packers might end up winning this game because the Vikings are just that bad.
Could be,
or it could be the other way around.
Yeah. But Nate's team is solid. I know he had some injury concerns with Saquon Barkley. Zach Moss seems to be losing touches to Jonathan Taylor now that he's healthy again.
I knew that was him.
But I still trust Zach Moss in that offense. Surprisingly,
there might still be enough there. I mean, if they're competitive, they'll run them out.
Zach Moss is a good flex play. You're not looking for him to be your RB2, but it's a good flex play. He's touchdown dependent. But then DeAndre Swift. Did you see this season coming from DeAndre Swift?
Saw a good season. I mean, a little surprised when they brought in Rashad Penny and they ran out Gainwell week 1. That was a little weird.
Yeah. But DeAndre Swift, ooh.
I mean, he was a good talent there in Detroit when he was healthy.
The Eagles just get richer.
They do.
I think Howie Roseman's just playing Madden.
The brotherly love.
The brotherly shove. But man, DeAndre Swift, he looks like the guy that everybody thought he would be in Detroit. And that's scary. Now, wide receivers. I don't love Nate's wide receivers. He's got Stephon Diggs. But behind him, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and Zay Jones, I don't love Nate's receivers.
Yeah, I think Zay's been out 2 or 3 weeks in a row now.
Yep. But on the other side, as much as I don't love Nate's receivers, I love Adam's receivers less.
Doesn't look like Adams submitted a lineup this week. I mean, he could roll out with DK. I don't know how healthy DK Metcalf is. He's got some stuff going on this year, and DeAndre Hopkins.
Mm-hmm. At this point, if I were Adam, I'd probably start both Goddard and Kmet. Goddard finally looks like the guy that we all thought that he was going to be, and then Cole Kmet, he's finally. I feel like he's finally living up to that potential.
You know, he's not what Justin Fields that's not chucking down, just running all the time. So you got a guy that will actually throw to him.
Yeah. So, Mark Andrews too. He had a huge game last week. I feel like that was more the result of Detroit's defense just forgetting they had a game. I think they thought they were playing flag football, not tackle football.
Mm-hmm.
It's too easy to make Lions puns, and it's not even fun. We've done it for years. It's just not the same. But man, Mark Andrews looks good. I look at this, and my pick. We've got to go with Nate. I don't see a way that Adam can win.
Yeah, there's not a path for Adam to win.
It's unfortunate, but like I said in the power rankings, if you read the Rush review, relegation isn't based on the regular season. All right. Up next, we've got Micah against Caleb. Instead of some brotherly love, we got some cousinly love. And maybe some cousinly shove.
Could be a little bit of everything.
Micah needs a win desperately. He made a big move last week, in a bold move, being willing to let go of Davante Adams. I would be saying this about anybody that made this move. I just happen to be the beneficiary of it. But he needed that second running back with James Conner going down. Zeke is not a great play. He's touchdown dependent. And Madison is one of those guys. He's got potential every week. He's got a high ceiling, but he also has a low floor. Mm-hmm. The key piece in that deal was George Pickens. As much as it pained me to give up Pickens, Pickens might be a nice replacement for Devontae Adams in 2 years.
He'll be a fair replacement for him.
It's fair comp value if Pickens continues to ascend like what he is now.
He continues the consistency play.
Yep.
But he really.
Yeah. So, let's start with quarterbacks. I mean, Geno Smith against the Browns, Jalen Hurts against the Commanders. I don't like Jalen Hurts this week. He seems to struggle against Washington.
But even so, Geno against the Browns, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still like Jalen over versus.
I like Jalen too, but I just don't like the play this week. I mean, you're not going to not start Jalen Hurts. Don't get me wrong. You start Jalen Hurts no matter what. I just think 20 points from Jalen Hurts is a little bit. I think it might be too. I think it's too high. And Geno against the Browns. Now the Browns have a good defense. There's no denying that. But it's in Seattle, and I think Geno has that going for him.
Mm-hmm.
So give Geno maybe 14 points. Do you think that's fair?
It's fair. Maybe he's gonna throw one, run one.
Yeah. And then we've got running backs. I don't like Devin Singletary at all.
No, I'm not really sure why he's in there when Javonte Williams is back.
Or even AJ Dillon.
Yeah, both of them are really good.
So, and then you've got Ramondre Stevenson. So, hold on a second, everybody. The joys of doing it live. You get a dog that goes and does everything. Go sit down. This message brought to you by my dog, Kenzie. Thank you for joining us. But Ramondre Stevenson, I do like that play against the Dolphins, but are we back to not knowing what we get out of Ramondre Stevenson?
Yeah, I mean, he's the play. But
right, he's the right play. I'm not saying that he's not.
Zeke got the touchdown last week.
I'm not saying that Ramondre Stevenson isn't the right play, but remember 2 years ago, and even his rookie year 3 years ago, we weren't sure if Ramondre Stevenson actually was capable of being a lead back, and last year he had a really good year, so that boosted his draft stock this year.
He's definitely the guy. I mean,
right.
Zeke just got a touchdown last week, but still against the Dolphins in your tough select.
Right. And then Alexander Mattison against the Packers. We know what Vikings running backs do against the Packers.
A lot.
So, and watching that game Monday night, I'm wondering, where does the Cam Akers experiment start to come in? Because it seemed like Akers got the ball more on Monday night.
It was about a 50-50 split.
So I do like the way Madison runs, though. He runs with anger. He just has to hang on to the ball. That was the problem with Madison at the beginning of the year. Now, wide receivers. We both feel the same way when it comes to having two receivers from the same team.
Yep. Evans and Godwin for Caleb.
And I don't like that matchup, but there's no other options. I mean, when you have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, both of them would be wide receiver twos on different teams, but to have them both on the same team in fantasy
is rough.
It's rough. Maybe with Tom Brady, it was different. And but Baker Mayfield, I'm glad that Baker's redeeming himself, but I'm concerned that Baker isn't capable of spreading the ball enough to warrant having both of them on your team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's concerning for me.
Yeah, I mean, DJ Chark is an okay play, but it's not a great play.
Yep. And then on the other side, looks like Micah has lost faith in Calvin Ridley.
I don't know why.
I mean, he's had below 5 points in 2 straight games.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Nico Collins, I don't hate that play. He's becoming the number one in Houston, and CJ Stroud's the real deal. Tyler Lockett, if DK Metcalf's out, Tyler Lockett is a nice play. And then Pickens, I think Pickens is at that point. You got to start Pickens every single week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just saying that because I traded him.
Yeah, if anything were to happen to him, though, it's like Osborne and Ridley are good plays.
Yeah. But then at tight end, Dawson Knox today, it was reported that he's going to be out for at least a couple weeks. So Taysom Hill goes in that role. So we can assume that Micah puts Taysom Hill in that role, which 8 points for Taysom Hill. That seems about right now.
Yeah, he scored a touchdown a couple times.
Yeah, he had 16 points last week. And on the other side, Logan Thomas.
I think 5 is a little low.
We'll see. I'm glad to see Logan Thomas healthy and being able to do things. But looking at this, you put in Taysom Hill and 7 points for the Bills defense. Now, the Bills got embarrassed. Thursday night, I feel like the Bills defense could come out against the Bucs. Just like I said, Baker Mayfield. Just because I said Baker Mayfield is good, I feel like Buffalo, if they really wanted to, they could shut out the Bucs.
But it's Thursday Night Football.
It is. That's why I'm saying it.
It's the Bills and Jags night shine.
We'll see. I mean, I really like to. I feel like 7 points for the Bills defense is a little low.
Yeah, and which could then adversely affect Caleb.
It could. So I'm looking at this. With my pick, I've got Micah. For me, there's more unanswered questions than what Caleb's got.
Yes, Caleb's got some serious questions, and so that would be an easy pick.
All right. Now, looking at this matchup, we've got your matchup with Christy, and the spread is really close. This is the closest spread of the week between you and Christy, and I said it on Sunday to a fellow member in this league. Christy's team might be firing at the right time, and this fellow member said, it doesn't scare me because the wide receivers, they're just guys. I'm looking at this and saying Kareem Hunt's getting more looks. Jonathan Taylor looks healthy. You don't bet against Josh Allen. And in the offense, Kendrick Bourne's the number one target. He's not blowing anybody away, but you can usually 8, 9, 10 points for Kendrick Bourne. I'm happy with that out of a wide receiver. 3 or a flex. Jacoby Myers, he's been impressive in I almost just said Oakland. In Vegas, and then you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would not want to see this team in the second half of the season.
It's a solid team. I mean, there's still things there. I mean, Tank Bell is not healthy right now, and Brandon Cook hasn't looked like Brandon Cooks all season.
He hasn't been, and I think that was a good move last week for her, because 2 weeks ago, you got to remember, Brandon Cooks found the end zone, which is what that offense needed. And so looking at that, Christy's team, at one point, she was afraid that she was going to get relegated. And I don't think so, looking at this. I don't think you can bet against Josh Allen. I don't think you can bet against Jonathan Taylor. I think he's going to want to start proving it now that he's healthy. And the receivers, they're serviceable. But
Amon-Ra Brown is a very good play.
Yep. But then you got your side. Was I wrong about saying Jared Goff is the number 3 quarterback in the NFL last week?
He looked awful last week.
That was so bad. I mean, but every team always has a clunker at least once in the year, unless if you're the 72 Dolphins or the 2008 Patriots. Oh, wait, they did have a clunker. It was just in the biggest game of the year. And Goff's going to the Lions are going up against the Raiders in Detroit Monday Night Football. Give me Jared Goff against that porous Raiders defense.
Yep.
So, actually, in this matchup, don't bet against Josh Allen. I'm going to bet against Josh Allen. I like Goff's play. I like Goff a little bit more than Josh Allen this week. And this is from a guy that has Allen stock in other leagues.
I don't know. I still give it. He's got the higher ceiling.
Allen has the higher ceiling, but
he's got a higher floor.
That Bucs defense is still good. And it's a Thursday night game. I don't love quarterbacks playing Thursday night games. So I'm just looking at that. But then you've got Pacheco, Bijan, Mr. Headache, and Kenny Walker. So I really like Pacheco. He runs hard. I think the ground comes to meet his foot when he runs, not the other way around, the way he grounds and pounds. And that Broncos run defense is not good.
No.
So, and Bijan, does he play this week? Does he show up?
He better show
up. Then you got Kenny Walker. I do like Kenny Walker, but again, that Browns defense, they're scary. They're scary.
He's gonna get thrown out in screens all day.
Yeah, you're right. So looking at that,
I only say that one because Charbonnet's not been healthy all season.
Charbonnet,
He's either not been healthy or he's been a disappointment.
I don't know what to make. Is Charbonnet just the new Rashad Penny? I think I got to lean towards your running backs.
Yeah, just because once the other guy,
Jerome Ford.
If Ford's healthy, it's a 50-50 split.
Ford's going to be out this week.
Yeah, so
it's already that's already stated. So Pierre Strong is going to be their first and second down back. So Kareem Hunt does have an elevated workload this week. I wouldn't be surprised to see him to get 20 to 25 touches.
He's still, his stock is high rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that your running backs are far and away better. Just their matchups are a little bit better. Hunt against the Seahawks, their run defense is okay, and they just signed Frank Clark, so that's going to help. Jonathan Taylor against the Saints. The Saints' run defense, it's still good. ETN just broke a big one last week. Mm-hmm. So that's my drawback. If Pacheco against the Broncos, Bijan against the Titans, those are bad run defenses.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I give you a little bit of just the tiniest of edges. All right, but wide receiver. Does Jordan Addison have it in him to have another 2-touchdown game?
I don't know about 2 touchdowns, at least one though.
I don't think so. I think Jair Alexander shuts him down this week.
They buffed up the secondary today, signing a couple of 2 guys off the Rams and their own practice squad.
So, looking at that, I don't like Addison this week. I think Addison doesn't have a great week. I'm going to say it.
He'll be just fine.
You're playing him this week. That's why I'm saying it, that he's not, because it seems like anytime you play Jordan Addison, he puts up a goose egg.
Yeah. Typically.
But Jalen Waddle's back injury, if he's going to have issues with that throughout the rest of the year, that doesn't go away.
No.
So that concerns me moving forward. He's built on speed, and with Jalen Waddle against the Patriots, there's something in that I don't like. I don't trust him.
He'll be the easy slant guy all day, like he has been all season.
You're not going away on this.
No.
Kendrick Bourne against the Dolphins, I don't like that. Jacoby Myers against the Lions, I do like that matchup. That Lions defense, it's not the same. But then Amon-Ra, St. Brown, I do like that. So I'm actually going to give Christy the edge on wide receivers by a small margin based on matchups. But tight end is where this matchup is set apart for you. But Hawkinson didn't practice today, so dealing with a little bit of a foot issue that kept him out of some plays on Monday night.
Mm-hmm. I got the mystery man of John O. Smith. Will he be there? Won't he be there?
Yeah, Evan Ingram, he's been a solid. He's averaging that 7.5 points, and is capable of getting a touchdown. So, but I got to take Hawkinson. Now defenses. I'm looking at this. Houston's defense. You really think Houston's defense is going to do something against Bryce Young?
Bryce Young stinks.
He does.
Yeah, he's on my team.
He is. But Cleveland's defense against Seattle. Cleveland's defense is a Super Bowl defense. Their offense isn't, but their defense is a Super Bowl defense. I can't believe I'm saying this about Cleveland.
Let's go, Gino. You see, and I'm doubling. Let's go, Kenny. Touchdowns.
All right, so MFL says it's a 3-point spread with you.
That's fair.
It is fair. I'm having a hard time picking against you. I'm trying to find reasons. I think Goff's worth more than 14 points.
Yeah, I thought that last week too.
So you know what? We gotta
change it up a little bit.
We're gonna change it up again a little bit. I'm so torn on this, but I gotta go Christy, just because I can't pick you, because I need you to lose.
Or because happy wife, happy life.
Happy wife, happy life.
No, that's fair.
And she's over in the corner, excited and happy. So I don't normally say that. So, yeah. But since you're in the room here with me, all right. Here we've got, this easily could have been the match of week 2. There's some good games this week. Craig's matchup with Sam. Now, Sam has Jahmyr Gibbs on his bench. That had to hurt last week.
That's where he belongs. Looking like a true Packers fan, it's okay.
Oh, man. But I think Jahmyr Gibbs probably gets put in this week, would be my guess.
He hasn't set a lineup yet.
He hasn't set a lineup. But Lamar Jackson against Justin Herbert. I think 18 is too low for both of them.
I think it's wash.
It is.
Herbert against the little cubbies.
Herbert against the... Yeah, and then Lamar against the ferocious Redbird. It's a wash. Mm-hmm. You're right. But McCaffrey and Pierre Strong against James Cook, and I'm gonna throw Jahmyr Gibbs in there.
He easily gives Sam the edge.
I think so. I don't know what to make out of Pierre Strong, and I think we just talked about it. Kareem Hunt. He's going to be the workhorse. I think.
Yeah.
So, and the Bills want to get James Cook involved. I want to know what Ken Dorsey's thinking. We really need to do an offense. We need to do a coach breakdown. We really do.
I really like James Cook.
I do too. I really like James Cook. You can ask Sam. I really like James Cook, and I also like Jahmyr Gibbs. Sam can tell you that too. But then wide receivers. This is where I think Craig has just a tiny edge. Jamar Chase, Christian Kirk, and Adam Thielen against Hollywood, Tyreek, and Olave. Now, is Olave playing this week? That is a big question.
Why wouldn't he be?
Because of his arrest.
That's true. I don't know. If he's released, he's playing.
Right. But is that going to mess with him? Is that going to mess with his psyche? Does that mess with your psyche if you're a professional athlete?
I don't know. Depends on the player, I guess. I mean, it depends on their background and their experience with a lot of these situations. Growing up will depend on a lot of things.
Yeah. So, but even then, I'm looking. I don't hate Drake London.
Drake London has started to prove to be more consistent player. I mean, he's a safer player with that involved.
Mm-hmm. So if Olave doesn't play, Drake London goes right in there.
What's the deal with the Q though? With Hill.
With Hill, he just didn't practice today. It's Tyreek Hill. He's playing. It's the Patriots. He loves the Patriots. I feel like 17 points might be too low for Tyreek Hill against the Patriots. It seems like he always has a huge game against the Patriots. He probably will because I'm playing against him in another league.
It's a hip injury.
Ooh. I'm not worried about it.
He didn't practice today.
I think it's instead of it, they have to mark something. So, but I give the edge to Jamar Chase, Christian Kirk, and Adam Thielen.
Yeah. So, not to downplay it, a lot of it was reckless driving.
Yeah, I know.
So I thought it was like I knew he got arrested. I didn't know what it was for. But reckless driving, cooperative, both police. More than likely, it's going to get dropped.
Probably.
Or community service. So he's going to be playing.
Yeah. But Kittle against Higbee, is this even a question?
No.
No. I also like Kincaid on the bench this week. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm trying to figure out where he could put it. If you could get away with only needing to start one running back and could start two tight ends, I really like Kincaid this week. Dawson Knox is out, and look for Kincaid to have an expanded role.
Yeah. I mean, you know me, I don't like Adam Thielen.
Oh, I know you don't, but Bryce Young does.
Unfortunately for him.
So, and the Niners defense against the Bengals, I'm looking at this, and when I think about it, you've got to look at the overall lineup. Quarterback's a wash, but that's the only thing that's a wash. Craig's the best team in the league. He's going to continue to be the best team in the league.
Unfortunately. So we're going to pick Craig this
You're
week.
not going to pick with your heart here? You don't think Sam has it in him?
Even if you put Jahmyr Gibbs in. I don't think it's enough. I don't trust the Tyreek injury and Hollywood.
All right. Fair point. Fair point. All right. And the last matchup in the bigs, we have two teams that desperately need wins. Jeffrey and Jeromy. Can I just say how funny it was that Jeffrey had Deontay Foreman in his lineup Sunday morning and then at the last minute put in Jerick McKinnon over Deontay Foreman, and then Deontay Foreman scores 3 touchdowns.
I got the world's smallest.
I think everybody does.
Is regulation in Jeffrey's sight this year?
No, he's not one of the 3 worst teams, unfortunately. I mean, fortunately.
Is it a humbling experience for him?
I mean, we've started at the bottom. We had to climb out of the bottom. And we were close to relegation last year.
Yes, I was where Adam was.
Right. I mean, I was where Caleb is. So, I mean, we've been there. We've sweated it out. Now, Jeffrey's going with Roschon Johnson this week. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised to see that changed to Deontay Foreman or Justice Hill or Jerick McKinnon. Or at this point, Craig Reynolds, because Jeffrey will overthink something.
I mean, it's not a bad play even for Craig Reynolds against the Raiders.
It's not. So,
but if he's really going to do a good play this week and Roschon Johnson's not playing, I would put in Deontay Foreman easily.
I think Deontay Foreman's the play. The Chargers' run defense, it's not good. Which, again, we could break down Brandon Staley and his lack of coaching, but that's not what the rush report is.
Chargers
Chargers are bad.
They're failures
Every
year.
The Chargers are becoming the new Boston Red Sox. So close, yet so far.
They deserve it.
They do deserve it after what they did to San Diego. Okay.
But I like the CJ Stroud play.
I do too.
I know he's nothing compared to Mahomes for Jeffrey, but I really do like Jeromy. CJ Stroud. I like him more than Dak.
Yeah.
In general.
I mean, I joke that Jeromy has the Texas monopoly on quarterbacks, but I don't think you can be bad. I don't think you can go wrong with CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud reminds me of Andrew Luck his rookie year. Remember how there was a lot of hype there, and could he live up to the hype? And Andrew Luck answered the questions. Now, with CJ Stroud, it was a lot of questions. Can he actually perform? And I thought the Panthers made a mistake going with Bryce Young. I thought CJ Stroud's the better NFL prospect, and I think you're seeing that right now. Nothing against Bryce Young, but CJ Stroud, he's the better quarterback.
He was gonna, I think, elevate the players around him, just like CJ Stroud has. You have Nico Collins, Robert Woods. Pierce is still the same thing he was last year.
Yeah.
But who's their tight end?
Dalton Schultz.
Who's a good player?
Dalton Schultz is a nice little play. But running backs is where this matchup concerns me. I think Eckler gets it back on track this week against the Bears. He's just coming back from injury. I'm not concerned yet, but if he doesn't do anything this week, I would be hitting the panic button if I'm an Austin Eckler owner.
It was a matter of time.
It is. I mean, he's been overused in LA. They haven't.
Joshua Kelly broke the one last week.
He did.
It's not enough to give me any kind of confidence.
Yep. And then Aaron Jones and Tony Pollard. Is Aaron Jones healthy? Is he not? I don't like the Aaron Jones play just because of the question with health. AJ Dillon looked like the lead back last week. I don't know.
And sprinkling that Wilson kid.
Eugene Wilson, right? Manuel Wilson. Jabril Wilson.
He looked just as good as AJ. I think it was a good complementary back system, and that's what that backfield needs to be. You have to have Aaron Jones leading, and then AJ is a change of pace.
Yep. And then you've got Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard's a nice play. He's a nice player. I don't think he's a lead back, and I don't like him for an RB2 in fantasy. He's more of a flex play, and I felt that way last year. I don't trust anybody in Dallas's backfield anymore. Probably because of the play calling. Again,
Mike McCarthy.
It's Mike McCarthy. We really do need to do a breakdown of NFL head coaches. I'm sure we'd get tons of hits.
Mike McCarthy is terrible.
We'll make something. Never mind. We'll save that for another day. But wide receivers here. Now, Jeremy's hurting because he doesn't have Justin Jefferson. But Deontay Johnson looked healthy last week. He's running the routes. I like that. Rashee Rice is becoming the number one receiver for Patrick Mahomes, so that's nice to see. But Rashid Shaheed, I don't like Rashid Shaheed. I like Jackson Smith and Jigba over Shaheed.
I don't. I like Boyd. Boyd is a sneaky play.
Against 49ers defense, I can see that. There is one player, though, that I want to bring up, that I did bring up when we were breaking down Alexander Madison, is Cam Akers. Cam Akers was a sneaky ad this week in a waiver claim for Jeromy.
Not worth starting yet.
He's not, but that ad could come back to pay off come playoff time. I don't know. I'd be interesting to see how many people went after Cam Akers this week. just to see the breakdown there. Now, on the other end, Brandon Ayuk. He's not. I thought Jeffrey was crazy when he told me constantly that Ayuk was going to be the number one guy, and he's looking healthy. I was wrong. I'll admit it. That tasted bitter, but Ayuk looks really, really good. Really good.
I mean, Debo is now second fiddle.
I don't know if I'd say Debo's second fiddle, but Debo's used a little bit differently now. And he was always used differently. But the play that I don't like Gabe Davis. I've gotten burned by Gabe Davis too many times.
He isn't really many other choices. I mean, Josh Downs.
I think I like Josh Downs a little bit more this week. Again, Gabe.
It's a Thursday night game.
It's a Thursday night game. Maybe I'll be wrong and Gabe Davis has a big game, but the other one is Devontae Smith. Now, Devontae Smith hasn't had the year that like he did last year, but at some point they're going to start feeding him the ball more because AJ Brown can't keep on having these 125-yard games, right?
No.
So you kept Devontae Smith for a reason. Look for Devontae Smith to break out. And maybe it's this week against the Commanders.
Could very well be. Yeah, but I don't really like Darren Waller. He looked better with a different quarterback.
I like Darren Waller more than I like Jake Ferguson.
Anybody in Dallas' offense.
Other than CeeDee Lamb. I do like Darren Waller over Ferguson. Maybe Waller finds the end zone. But looking at this, I'm struggling with this one. I don't know if you are. Do you want me to go first? Or
Give Jeffrey the slight edge.
You're going to give Jeffrey the slight edge? You know what?
Lightest of edges.
You know what?
Razor thin.
Because you went Jeffrey, you helped make my decision. Jeromy, put a Texas whooping on Jeffrey this week.
Poor Jeffrey.
Jeffrey doesn't watch the Rush Report anyway, so he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't.
All right. That brings us to the Wii League. Some good matchups in the Wii League this week. Again, big matchup. The big matchup in the Wii League involves number 1 against number 2. Owen against Mark Friedman. Mark's sitting at 5-2. I was surprised when I saw that last night.
Yeah. I mean, he's submitted a lineup, but he has hurt.
Yes. I found that interesting. But he does have Taysom Hill on the bench. And I'm looking at this. The thing that concerns me with Mark's team, and I said this in the Rush review, Russell Wilson. I don't trust Russell Wilson.
There's nothing to trust.
But everything else, I mean, Saquon, Jacobs, Pacheco, Jahmyr Gibbs. If I'm Mark, I'm trading one of those running backs for a quarterback. You probably pay too much for a quarterback, but I'm trading one of those running backs for a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he's got enough pieces, and he's got DeAndre Hopkins even.
I mean, Mark's team's a good team, but that quarterback concerns me. And on the other side, you have Owen. Owen has Kirk Cousins, Christian McCaffrey. But the receivers concern me there. I mean, we've talked about Amon-Ra St. Brown and Christian. We didn't really touch base on Christian Kirk, but they're focused on getting Kirk the ball a little bit more.
He's earning his paycheck this year.
But I don't like Gabe Davis, and for obvious reasons that I said. So is Owen a true representation of being the best team in the Wii League?
I still like Chad.
I do too.
I mean, Mark's got a good team. It's just that quarterback play. I mean, Mark would be the better team, a better quarterback.
Right. And when we go over the power rankings, Owen's number 1 because he's got the best record and he's got the best fantasy player in Christian McCaffrey. I don't think you can to argue that. But there's some concerns that I have for Owen's team and even Mark's team because of quarterback play. So it'd be interesting to see what the waiver wire looks like down in the Wii League, just to see if there's a better quarterback available than Russell Wilson. Now, if we're talking Russell Wilson from 4 years ago, I love Mark's team, but it's not 4 years ago. We're talking Russell Wilson today, and it's not pretty.
Going against the Chiefs, I mean, Chiefs aren't an amazing defense, but they're not a bad defense.
Right. So I feel like that hinders Mark's team. So looking at this, I'm saying it's Owen's matchup to lose. Owen's got to win this week if he wants to keep that top spot and have a stranglehold on it.
Yeah, it's Owen right now. I don't know what the quarterback play is down there, so I'm going to stick with Owen.
Mm-hmm. And Owen has the sneaky play of Cam Akers on his bench, so he does have a decent flex option if need be. All right.
Bryan and Brandon.
A father-son matchup with two teams that at the beginning of the year, both of us really liked both of these teams. I mean, I think I said Bryan might have had one of the better drafts based on what he had, and it just hasn't worked out for him. His team's changed quite a bit because of injuries, because of some moves, and Brandon's team, I don't know what to make. I don't understand how Brandon's team is 2-5, and it's probably because of his running backs.
Bad consistency. Gus Edwards, Najee.
Mm-hmm. So looking at that, we got a Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts matchup. Is that a wash?
This week it is.
I mean, I said I wouldn't be surprised to see both quarterbacks struggle when we were breaking down the bigs. We talked about Kareem Hunt. I really like Kareem Hunt. We didn't bring up Najee. We didn't really talk about Najee when we were talking to Adam's team. He had a touchdown last week, and that was a big touchdown. But do we trust what Najee Harris is?
That is once every 3 game touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I can't trust him.
I can't either. So when you look at that, there's concern there. There is one name, though, that Bryan's starting, and I can't say that I blame him, because Sam Howell seems to really like Curtis Samuel.
He does.
So I feel like Jahan Dotson has fallen out of favor in Washington, and Curtis Samuel is back being in favor. So, but Bryan is starting Dalton Kincaid. He must have read the Rush review.
Or he just is confident in his players.
Or he's confident in his players. If Bryan would have started Dalton Kincaid last week, we're talking
he's a read and react kind of guy.
Yep. The 4-3 instead of the 3-4 Bryan. So looking at this, I'm struggling with this pick. But the pick will be in. Who do you got?
I'm going with Bryan.
You're going Bryan. I'm going to go Caleb with the stack of Brandon. Can't believe I just did that. Sorry, Brandon. Wow.
Poor Brandon.
But with the stack of Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown and Gus Edwards getting, I think Gus Edwards has a touchdown. I'm going to go Brandon this week.
It's a feelings pick this week.
All right. I can respect it. All right. Next, we got Matt against Victor. Victor has been a good surprising ad in the Wii League. He'd be in the playoffs if the playoffs started right now, but there's some major red concern there for Victor's team.
Justin
Fields and Anthony Richardson. That's concerning.
Given that there's no keepers in the bottom, I would just drop Anthony Richardson today.
That's what I would do. I don't think it's any question. You drop a guy like that. But then you've got on the other side Lamar. I said this when I did the rush review in the power rankings. I can't trust Lamar for a full season yet. He's one of the best first half of the season quarterbacks, but he has missed something like 12 games over the last 2 years in the second half of the season.
We're almost there.
And we're right. I don't know if I can trust him. So, looking at that, I'm not saying this is the week that Lamar breaks down, but I think that's something that only having one quarterback is concerning if I'm Matt. I guess that's where I'm getting at. Now, running backs. I actually think this running back matchup is a little bit of a wash. You've got Madison and Bijan against Etienne, Zeke, and Kenny Walker. I don't care about Zeke, but Etienne and Kenny Walker, I feel like is a wash against Madison and Bijan.
Could be. I mean, I would say that there's a slight edge.
Yeah, okay. I can respect that. But then you got Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, and Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson has a big week this week. What do you think?
If the Giants, Zach Wilson,
Yeah.
good possibility.
And then you've got, on the other side, Devontae and Scary Terry McLaurin. It is Halloween week. Does Scary Terry make an appearance?
No,
I don't think so either.
I say he stays in purgatory.
I'd rather start Dobbs or I think I'd rather start any one of those three.
Pickens, Dobbs.
Right. Even Smith and Jigba.
Yeah. Bobo got a touchdown.
So did Smith and Jigba.
Bobo is better.
You just wanted to say Bobo on the rush report.
I like Bobo.
Now, Matt does have Ayuk on the bench. So I think that's interesting. This is an updated submitted lineup from this morning. I don't know who you start over. Which Ayuk you start over?
Ayuk over Wilson.
I think so, but
because of quarterback play.
Yeah. But Matt's team, the problem that I have with Matt's team is I don't trust Lamar Jackson yet. And maybe I'm a jaded Steelers fan too. But I've gotten burned by Lamar over the last couple of years. So once you burn me once, shame on you. Burn me twice, shame on me. That's where I'm at with Lamar. So I avoided Lamar everywhere. So who we got?
On its face, you could easily double up Dallas Goedert as your flex and take out Zeke out. You could probably still outscore Matt.
So you're going to Victor.
But that's if he felt. But he did pull out a win last week against Shayne.
With a 0 from the quarterback.
Let's go with Victor 2 weeks in a row.
You're going Victor. I'm going Matt. I don't think you can bet against Jamar Chase, that wide receiver trio. I really like that wide receiver trio. So I'm going Matt. All right.
We are on the Coleman bye.
We are on the Coleman bye. I did reach out to Micah this week, though, and Micah said that he is going to try to help out Coleman to get back on track. So we'll see what happens. So I'm trying to see.
One thing Coleman's got to do is drop Nick Chubb, add Kamar,
and put Cooper Kupp in his lineup.
Yeah.
You know, start Cooper Kupp over Charbonnet, and you're talking about a formidable win. Now, on the other side, Lincoln's got some pretty big needs at running back. And I don't love his receivers either. There's really not much that I like about Lincoln's team. I like Trevor Lawrence, but you can only play one quarterback, so Matthew Stafford is, I think, the right play. Lincoln's got some work to do.
Is it enough though? Pick Lincoln.
That's what I'm going back and forth on.
If Micah helps Coleman this week, because I think Coleman's still in town.
I'm
just going based upon Jocelyn's pictures. I think I want to say Coleman's in town.
You know what? I've got to pick with what I see. I'm going to pick Lincoln. But I wouldn't be surprised if Coleman has an upset this week, even with this lineup that he's got.
If Coleman's in town, I'm going to pick Coleman this week. Yes. You heard it here.
So it's not the Coleman bye this week.
Well, he might be. On paper right now, he's going to win. I think if Mike is helping him this week.
We'll see. We will see.
I mean, Mike almost beat me, so.
Micah did almost beat you.
A little bit of credit.
Very little bit.
Dave gets more respect, though.
All right. Up next, we've got Dan and Chad. Now, Chad has the best team in the Wii League, and he has the most points scored in the whole league. Now, that stat's a little bit skewed because there's only 12 players down in the Wii League, but when Chad said that he picked Eckler up off waivers, I'm shocked. But one of us here has done that before, where we picked up a top 5 quarterback because of injury. Remember the year you were in the Wii League? You had both. That was Carson Wentz's MVP year, but then you picked up Aaron Rodgers because somebody dropped him for a bye week. So you had between Rodgers and
Wentz.
And Wentz.
I want to say at Hunt.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt. I mean, that was
Chiefs. Kareem Hunt.
Yeah. So we've seen some inexperience in the Wii League before.
Trading Aaron Rodgers for Antonio Brown. If you don't bring it up, I'm going to bring it up.
I wasn't going to bring it up. And then trading Aaron Rodgers back for Russell Wilson. That's the one that I'm going to bring up.
That's even better.
It's all right. And then trading DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson.
Yeah, it worked out in my favor, though.
Worked out in my favor, too. My name's on a banner. There we go. So it helped both of us. But here we've got Eckler and David Montgomery. Now, you've got to put Jalen Warren in over Montgomery. Montgomery's not playing I don't think Montgomery's playing Monday night. We'll see. But
you're going to be safe come Monday.
Yep. And Jalen Warren's not a terrible play. It pains me to say this, but I don't hate Jalen Warren. So
he's a good safe play.
And then on the other side, Derrick Henry, Breece Hall, those two are I can't argue with those two running backs, but Derrick Henry's not the Derrick Henry from 2 years ago that's going to carry a fantasy team.
This is now the back end of his career.
Yep.
He might be lucky this week.
He might. And that Falcons run defense, it's not bad. No. It's not great, but it's not bad. The thing that Daniel has going for him is Tua, is Mike Evans, is CD, but Josh Palmer.
Do you like him over Michael Thomas, though?
I do.
Or would you rather run out a Dante Foreman?
I think I run out Josh Palmer this week.
I
really do.
He scored a touchdown last week.
He's the number 2 receiver in a pass-happy offense. I think that's got to be looked at. I mean, that's always what made Mike Williams great, is because he was in a pass-happy offense. So, but on the other side, can you go against Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, and Christian Watson?
Depends on Tyreek Hill's hip. That's concerning.
I think that's all gamesmanship. It's Patriot week.
Christian Watson will be fine. He'll be suiting up this week.
So, I don't think I can go against Diggs, Hill, and Watson.
It's a matter of time until Watson gets right. Because he was a better quarterback. He was a better wide receiver last year, and Dobbs is the better one this year.
and he's going to get open. Jordan Love has to find it. So we'll see that. Now, tight end. I love me Sam Laporta.
Laporte.
I love Sam Laporta. Did I mention that I love Sam Laporta? Even in a bad game last week, he had 8 points for the Lions. Like, that should tell you all you need to know about Laporta. Now that I said that, he's probably going to have a good day. He's a top 5 tight end.
He honestly better than Hockenson in his first season.
He definitely is better than Hockenson in his first season. But look for him to continue to grow. He's got great chemistry with Jared Goff. So looking at this, I'm looking at this, and this is a little bit closer. But I can't pick against Chad.
Chad is running on serious good juju right now, and not gonna pick against him.
I can't pick against Chad, so we'll continue that trend of picking Chad. All right, and last but not least, we've got Shayne and Mark Nelson. Now, Shayne took a tough loss last week, but I look for him to bounce back this week. Just looking at it, I feel like 91 points is a little low for him this week.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I don't like Tony Pollard.
Add more. But you got to look at his options. I mean, Damian Pierce is in a bad play.
Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at this. I find it kind of odd that he's not starting Devontae Smith. I would start Devontae Smith over Hollywood Brown. But maybe the analytics is coming out here. And Shayne is starting Hollywood Brown because Hollywood's going to have a revenge game against the team that traded him.
Could very well.
Just the thought. But on the other side, Keenan Allen, Tutu Atwell. Tutu Atwell had a garbage touchdown last week. But he is a nice number 3 to have on your team, and if I had the chance to get Atwell, I would probably go pick up Tutu Atwell.
He's not the player I would play, though. I would play like a Brian Robinson or Jaden Reed.
I feel like you kind of get the same thing with Jaden Reed or Tutu Atwell. I feel like they're the same player.
Brian Robinson could be decent, but he's been underwhelming all season.
He has been, and it's a bad matchup against the Eagles' run defense. That's one of the best run defenses in the league. Now, tight end, Evan Ingram, Tyler Higbee. I do like Evan Ingram over Higbee this week. Just a hunch there. When it comes down to it, I'm trying to see. If there's enough points for Shayne. You swap out Devontae Smith for Hollywood. You go with, and I'm not seeing it. I think this is Mark's week. I like James Cook play. I like Keenan Allen and Jalen Waddle over Drake London. So, oh dear.
I'll show this to you.
Oh dear. Some Discord action from the league.
Discord action already.
Oh man, this is going to be great. I can't wait to see this. So, Jalen Waddle's back is a concern. I think I got to lean Mark.
I got to lean Mark because I need Waddle.
Right, and I'm going back to my Jalen Waddle take of his back concerns me. That doesn't go away. So I just said that I liked him, but do I really like him? I don't think I do. So you know what? I'm gonna pull a Lee Corso. I was putting the headgear on of one thing. I'm throwing it back into the crowd, and I'm picking Shayne. That's not nice. So that brings us to the end here. Here's just my Biggs power rankings that I made. I don't think we can disagree that Craig's number 1 team. He had a couple rough matchups, but he hasn't lost since week 2, and he's the highest scoring in the Biggs. You're at number 2. I can't argue with the record. you've built a good solid team, you've got flex options, and there's something there. Sam's number 3. Again, I still don't love Lamar Jackson. I don't trust him. That's my problem. And number 4 is Nate. Now, Nate started off horrendous at 0-3, but has really bounced back to be 4-3, and is sitting in a really good spot. I didn't think Nate was gonna be able to bounce back the way that he did.
Yeah, Nate's looking pretty good. Dan at number 5. Dan's a model consistency. Then there's you.
Yeah, I went back and forth. I don't love Dan's team, but Dan did just beat me, so I've got to respect that he beat me.
Means consistent play. So.
And the problem is, I don't know if he has the wow factor in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see what happens. Now, this is where it got interesting. I'm sitting at 5-2, but I don't know. I feel like I'm one bad swing away from either being in the bottom half of the league or at the top half. But I feel like the Devontae Adams puts me in that upper echelon.
It might keep you up there, but it all depends on quarterback play.
It does. I put a lot of stock in Trevor Lawrence, and I'm hoping Trevor Lawrence does what he did last year. At number 7, I put Dave there. This could easily be flip-flop next week. If Dave beats me, Dave's the better team. I'm not going to argue that, but the record at 3-4 is some concern. So you've got to look at records when you're doing this. I'm not Colin Cowherd that puts the Steelers in the top 10 of his hierarchy in the NFL. At number 8 is Daren. The thing with Daren that concerns me is Justin Fields' health. He's relying on Justin Fields. You've got to have a healthy quarterback play going into the playoffs. And I think Justin Fields will be fine, but can you rely on Kenny Pickett? I don't know. We'll see. Number 9, we've got Christy. I said it when we were breaking down her team. She's getting healthy at the right time. Don't bet against Josh Allen, even though I kind of did tonight. You've got to love what Josh Allen can do to a team. Even with a bad game last week, he still put up 20-plus points. So, and number 10 is Jeffrey. I almost put Jeffrey at number 11. His running backs really concern me. If Eckler is not healthy, I think Jeffrey's looking at possible relegation. I'm throwing that out there. He's going to call me a knucklehead on Sunday when I talk to him, but let's be realistic here. Stats don't lie. So, at number 11 is Micah. I feel like Micah could be on the verge of coming out of the bottom, but can Derrick Henry really be the guy? I don't know if he can be. And number 12 is Jeromy. Jeremy's dealt with injuries all year, and I don't think you're going to see a change there. And at number 13 is Caleb. Caleb needs some luck, and then Adam. Adam, I think would even admit it. He's the worst team in the bigs this year. Any surprises there that you see?
No big surprises.
All right, and then the Wii League. We've got Owen sitting at the top. Chad's right there at number 2. Chad's got the most points scored. The reason why Chad's not number 1 is because he's sitting there at 4-3. He has 2 bad losses. So that does make a difference. But if Chad pulls off a couple straight wins, he's sitting in second and gets that valuable first round bye in the playoffs. You've got to pay attention to that. At number 3, you got Mark Friedman. He's sitting at 5-2, and easily he could take over matchup wise the top spot. Now, points wise, he doesn't have the points. He's only averaging 94 points a matchup. But if you look at his team, he's getting healthy, and there's some stuff there that he has to work with. Number 4 is Matt. When you look at Matt's team, I know there's other teams that have scored more than him, but the way that he's built his team, I trust that. Except, guess what my problem is with Matt? Lamar Jackson. Can he stay healthy? I think it's funny. I didn't mean to do this, but both number 4 teams, their quarterback is Lamar Jackson. something to think about there when you think about a breakdown. At number 5, we got Mark Nelson. He's set up nicely for a playoff run along with Victor. The thing with Victor is quarterback play. Can he get the right quarterbacks? Now, here's where I went a little bit wild. Put Shayne at number 7. Shayne, we know, is Mr. Analytical. He analyzes, and he makes choices based on what he's seeing. I kind of trust that if he doesn't go over analytical. That's the problem with Shayne. At number 8 is Daniel. Daniel's got some concerns with the way that he's not scoring. He's only averaging 89 points. Now, Shayne's averaging 88, but the way I trust Shayne's team more than I trust Daniel's. At number 9 is Bryan's. Now, Shayne, Daniel, and Bryan, they're all in the same spot. They could make a run to that 6th spot. And just like what we saw in the baseball playoffs, all you have to do is get in to get promoted. So look for those 3 teams to make some moves. Then at number 10 is Brandon. I don't understand how Brandon is 2-5.
Bad luck.
It's got to be bad luck. I mean, he's only had Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown score for him. And I think the problem is his running backs. He's lacking running backs. But then at number 11, you got Lincoln, and number 12 is Coleman. And it's just because Coleman hasn't submitted lineups. So, so that brings us to the end of another Rush Report. Nick, this was fun doing it in person. So any big takeaways that you've got going into the week?
I don't have any big takeaways. I'm just hoping the Packers are relevant this week. Listen, I'm going to Lambeau next weekend. So
which we might have a surprise guest next week for the Rush Report.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I'm not going to give out any names. No names, please. But there may be an additional picker or a new picker next week on the Rush Report. So you'll just have to tune in and see who it is. So that's all I got.
From lovely Maine.
All the way from Maine in my living room. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week on the Rush Report.
Nation.